Good evening, everyone. He's looking fresh. Freshish. Tim Williams has joined. Here he is. Straight Six has joined. All of a sudden, a whole load of people jumped in. Right. Let's get him in. Here he is.
Hey, what's going on, mate?
I'm good, mate. You all right?
Yeah, good. Trim's looking fresh.
Hey?
Trim's looking fresh, mate. Can you hear me?
I can, mate. Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
Let me just turn you up.
Trim, so
Yeah.
plug this other earbud in. Got some.
I always do. It's literally my cue for the week to cut my hair, have a shave, look reasonably smart, especially when I'm coming on with someone young, cool, and handsome such as yourself.
Don't even joke. This the other day, he was like to me, he said, "Oh, you're not that short," because I think we did the video with Auto ID, and it was a little like gaff. He said, "Oh, 6'4" sort of thing." And then he was like, "Tim, we're not actually that short." And so literally that whole weekend, I was like, yep, I can throw out all the Air Forces, all of the platforms and just go down to some normal Vans now because I'm not a short person anymore. So he did me a lot of favours there. He did my wardrobe for quite a lot of favours, to be fair.
Mate, that was so funny. Like when you were reading that script thing, man, I was just like, oh yeah, we don't have to get... I was just like, oh mate, I was just wetting my pants, man. That was really funny.
It was different.
Really funny.
The boys, we come together and we planned it. It was like they planned it rather than they brought me in and they were like, "What do you think?" I was like, "All right, banged." And then when we done it in person, I think if you ask the boys, I think we thought it would take us about an hour to 2 hours, but the last we had throughout, we ended up but it was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
It was.
How long did it take then?
I don't know, because we stopped to eat. So obviously, when you start eating and everyone's a car guy, and it is, and we went off. But I think it was an evening. We done it in an evening. I was down from work, so it was about 4 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
But not too bad. But when you look at it, it's like, as well with YouTube and stuff, you do loads of hours for something that's really going to come out as a 10-minute end product, but this is it.
Oh, tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. Ages ago, I did a job with, we took a bunch of GT86s out to Germany. So it was a 3-day film shoot for Toyota UK. I was working with the guys they used to doing their media stuff. So it was a 3-day shoot for a 2-minute YouTube video. out to Germany, all the there was a team of 6, 8 of us. I mean, all the camera gear. So there was 3 guys driving the cars, camera van, and all that. Oh, mate, the amount that goes into a proper production is madness.
I don't think a lot of people understand. A lot of people just see it as YouTube's just easy, this, that. Even the wife, for instance, I'd go out to do a video on the weekend. And I'd be out for probably half the day or sometimes the whole day. And then I'd get back and how long's your video for? And she'll look on YouTube, it's like a 10-minute video. You're out the whole day.
Yeah.
I was like, but
you've been out the whole day and then you spent another day editing it.
Exactly right. So it is a commitment, but it's all for fun and games, isn't it? We all have to do this stuff back on it.
Mate, it's all for fun and games. Well, first of all, I'm going to say, not first of all, we've already been chatting for 5 minutes. I'm going to say welcome to the Spudcast. Also, I was not really nervous about getting you on, but you're the first guy that I've had on that I've never met.
Mate,
I've never met you in real life.
I know.
But you seem like one of those guys, because I've watched your content and we have a back and forth all the time. Yeah. I feel like I half know you already. It's one of those weird social media worlds.
That happens quite a lot. For instance, I can't remember who it was, but I've met someone recently, and I feel like they knew me, and they felt like they knew me as well. If that makes any sense.
Weird.
So I think YouTube kind of brings people together, and I think if you've got a personality like yourself, where you come across approachable, down to earth, I think people then tend to lean towards you, and that's the vibe that I got from you from day one. So then it was just looking at how you have banter, everything from the Straight Six track days. I was like, yeah,
bless you, bro.
He's definitely good people, man, definitely. And then going down
I'm glad you think that. I was literally just going to comment on that as well. Have you got my channel up in the background on the big screen?
Support it properly.
Mate, you're so pro.
I was like, I tried to set, because obviously I've never done this before, so I was like, how do I set the room up? Do I need a light? Do I need a spotlight? I was like, no, you know what, that can't just be off. It's got to have some content. And I was going to put on my content, but I was like, no, that's far. So let me put up the main man's content. See, I just thought
mate, bless you, brother. Mate, you're so nice. Oh, man, that's so cool. Yeah, so I've jotted down a couple of things. I've been watching a few of your bits over the last week, well, the last couple of months actually. I've been getting into your stuff, but I've done a little bit of I'm going to say research, not research, but I've been catching up on some of your content. The main bugbear I've got with your content, and I'm going to have a moan now.
Please do. I need it.
You're too good looking. So you need to ugly yourself up a bit. I don't know if you could like put on some weight, get some like fat cheeks like me, maybe like knock a tooth out or something. I don't know. Your intro, the first video that I watched, you came in with this massive, like mega cinematic, like intro-y bit, and I was like, oh man, I need to up my game, man. This guy's super pro. It's looking really cool. And then the other thing, also, you make me feel really old because you're like down with the cool kids speak, and you're throwing in some like London slang and that. And I'm from in the middle of nowhere, and we just talk tractors and stuff like that. So you're like down with the cool kids. So even already in this, you've chucked in a couple of phrases that I think I know what you mean, but I'm like.
You're not using Google Translate. Get that down. I ain't got a clue what you say. They'll laugh along.
Yeah, what's it saying? Because you started off by going, what did you say when you first got on? You said I looked something about my hair or something. You looked.
I said I said your trim's looking sharp.
My trim is looking sharp.
That means your trim's 100% good. That's what it means.
What's trim? Haircut.
The haircut, yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
You were like, yeah, cheers, thanks.
my missus in the next room, she's going, you're so old. I'm like, yeah.
I'm going to let you down on a little secret that not a lot of people... my full-time job is in the school. So I can hear the words. So if anything that comes up, I'm like, excuse me, come over here, young man. What does that mean? And that's what it is. So that's why I tend to learn these phrases.
Okay.
That's
so you're down with... You're down with the lingo.
Yeah, with the tractors and everything, mate. Yeah, that's me.
Right, so that's how you're down with the lingo, right? Okay, so yeah, get it all off the kids. That's a good shout, man. That's a good shout. Well, speaking of YouTube, how did you? I'm interested to know how, because everyone's journey into YouTube is different. How did you kind of get into YouTube? How long have you been doing it? Some of your videos on there are really old, so it looks like you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, so
kind of what's your story? What was your focus? What was your...
So I would say for the last two, I think since I had the M140, which was about 2 years ago, that's when I kind of took it serious. 2.5 years I've been doing it now. Prior to that, how I actually got started this is an embarrassing story. My dad just loves buying cars but doesn't like to do anything himself. That's obviously why you have children. So he's obviously messaged me. He said, Tim, MOT's due, the wipers is smearing, come and fix it for me. I was like, Dad, I don't know how to do it. He said, I'll come and do it. I'm not paying these guys top of the road to put wipers on my car when I've got a son who loves cars. I said, okay, cool. Went around there, got the blade. This is on a Renault Scenic or something. So I've managed to take it off and I've put it back on. And I know my dad, he'll somehow manage to break them or take them off and try and look at them. So I said, you know, let me record it so I know how to do it in case I need to do it in a year's time. So I'd done that. And then I stuck it. I didn't know where to start. I just kept looking at my photo gallery, and I just kept seeing this video of like wipers. I was like, it's got to go. So I literally put the video on YouTube, and then 3 months later, lo and behold, need to change the wipers again. I said, this is going to be quick. I got the video on there, so I went on YouTube, my YouTube channel, which only had one video at the time, and I clicked on the video, and there was 8,000 views on it in the space of... I can't even get that on M2 content, but for some reason, 2004, Renault Scenic, everyone wants to know how to do the wipers. So then that's what kind of got me thinking that, you know what, any little jobs I do on people's cars, whether it's the brakes, whether it's the wipers, I'm just going to do the video, chuck it on YouTube just for my own reference, and in case it does get views and it gets views. And my channel was a lot of like nothing facing me, a lot behind the camera, DIY, until I then found out about a guy called Scotty Kilmore. I don't know if you've heard of him, American geezer. Like he literally, I think he's about 90 years old, but he loves his car. He does loads of things himself, and then he films it all. So then that got me thinking to change my approach at these videos to be more personal, as opposed to step 1, step 2, step 3. And then it just grew from there, really. Then obviously once I started watching like the bigger YouTubers like Joe, Petrol Ped, Ricky at Living Life Fast, then I kind of got more ideas about how to shape it all up. But then that's how it then led on to, I want to do this. I love cars full stop. I love making videos, full stop. So then it just led, okay, you know what, let's put it together and see what happens. And then it just led into this.
That's so funny. So it's literally like a one take.
That's it,
like
mate.
video for yourself. So were you even like what were you doing? Narrating it to yourself effectively?
Yeah, weirdly enough, I was like, and it was like I had zero energy because, like, you know, when you're working on like, this is my dad's car. Just like, I'm just here, gone all the way to East Ham. Literally, like, cool, let's get this done. So I'm doing this. I'm like, yeah. Then I did this. Then I just chucked it up, and it was like no energy, and it 8,000 views. I had to delete the video after, like, because it was embarrassing, you know.
Deleted it? Oh man, I was gonna go back and watch it.
I can't believe I left it, but yeah, I had to delete it because the energy was just poor. I was like, wow, like, and then that's what I just said. Okay, next from now on, here's the bar, and just take it up and up and up and up like that going forward.
Oh mate, smashing it. But you got some videos on there from like, did I see something from like 4 or 5 years ago? You doing some like Audi A3 something?
Yeah, so it was a thing that any car I owned or any car that a family member owned, I was like, let's do something on it. Like, you can do with a new radio, you can do it. And I just done it, and I realised that people love saving money if it's a job they can do themselves. But if there's an instruction guide that's
100%.
very good, they're going to go for it. And that's what got me into doing the more DIY things. But then I've realised the more expensive the car is, the less people like DIY, because people naturally are going to be less.
Of course. Yeah.
Don't
want to touch it because of the warranty and whatever. Yeah.
And that's kind of like, that's been the downfall of my style. I would say in the last 2 years, I've noticed that when it's more hands-off, behind the camera, interacting with somebody, those videos do a lot better than, so guys, I'm going to be doing this, because it's like, no one wants to do a timing belt change on a BMW M2, because it's like, no, I don't want to do it. But on a Vauxhall Corsa 1999, someone's going to be like, yeah, I don't mind playing with that. If it goes wrong, it's only going to be, 400 quid, 300 quid down the drain sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, because a lot of your videos are actually quite hands-on. So obviously you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. What's the limit of your mechanicking ability?
I would say it stops at anything that involves a lift. If it has to be on a lift or an engine lift, it stops there. Because I wouldn't say fully trained, but when I was younger, I was on the books of West Ham United till I was 17. And part of it then was to do a trade. So I opted to do mechanics. So I did learn, and then halfway from I didn't finish the course, but halfway through, I felt like I learned enough to say, you know what, I'm adequate enough to take on the job. So anything from your oil changes, servicing, that's with my eyes closed, I can get those sort of things done. Brake change, brake fluid. But anything else, I'll just leave that to the professionals. 100%, I leave that to the professionals.
See, this got any of my drifting mates that are watching this. They're when you said the limit of your ability is when it's got to go up on a ramp. See, my drift mates will do an engine swap on the driveway on some axle stands. Then
that's not me. I think for me, and the biggest thing is axle stands. I never saw the point of them until, and this is something not a video. This is something that I need to be honest with. I jacked the car up once. I can't remember what happened, and as the jack just failed, this was like a Halfords jack, and it just dropped. Luckily, I had the tyre. It's like on a VW Polo. This is like, I think, about 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years, and it just dropped. The jack just went. And then since then, I'm like,
wow.
Okay, stands are a must. I always thought, you know what, just leave the jack there, put the tyre underneath the side sill, and the jack just went bang. Luckily, the tyre was there. If not, we were never lifting that car off the ground. But,
wow. See, that's the first thing I've ever heard of a jack failing, because I'm always like, I'll put it there. I've never heard anyone have a jack fail on them, and there you go. So it does happen.
Proper lightweight, it's made out of like chocolate sort of proper crap, like £6.
Come in your box of cereal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So since then I'm just like axle stands.
Yeah. Or like you say, chuck a tyre under the seal. Either way, it's not gonna fall on your head. Exactly
right. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, bud. That's cool. Right, let me get into my notes. Done that. The last video I watched, you were getting your car ready for track day. I didn't know you were into track days, but you obviously are. What have you done? First of all, have you done videos going to track days? Because they're always quite time consuming.
It is. And the thing is, I don't know whether yourself, you probably can speak from experience. it's not the exact same when you're filming as opposed to off camera. And I try to explain this to people because I did Snetterton in the M140. I did Bedford in the M140i before it was sold. And with the M2, I've done Brands Hatch. And on camera, it comes across quite timid because you're trying to do both, trying to talk and drive and talk and drive. But then off camera, I don't know if it's the same with yourself, drive totally different, way more confident, way more focused.
I just drive slow all the time, so however it comes across.
Yeah, so it's a thing like, and once you do it, what I've noticed it does, despite what it looks like on YouTube, it actually has slowed me down on the main roads because I know I've got that outlet sort of thing. So that's the approach that I want to take, because obviously it's nice to go for a hoon and stuff, but what I don't want to do is just promote young people that are watching to say, yeah, you know what, get your license, go out on the main road and just hoon it as fast as you can. So that's why I said once I hit 10k subs on YouTube, my thing was to do my race license and to compete. It's not to win, but to compete. So I just wanted to say at least I can tick that box when I look back, like when I'm older, and say, you know what, I took part in the actual MSV race. So that's my aim, hopefully to do my license this year, and then obviously to get a track car and build that next year and go on from there.
Oh, wicked, man. Oh, mate, that's one thing. I did my race license ages ago, and I renew it every year just for, I mean, it looks good on my CV, but I'd love to go racing, man, but it's so expensive.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it comes down to how you decide to approach it, because I think there are some cups I've seen, and you just need to get a track build, which is going to cost $1 or $2 grand, depending on where you want to go, whether it's the KAs, whether it's the, I don't know, the lower end of the Mini. I think it's just called the Mini Cup. And then I think you can do that for just about a couple grand. And it's a thing where if you can get a team together and sort of thing, it won't work out too expensive. So that is definitely something that I want to do. And again, it's something I've looked at. You don't have to do every single race. If you just want to go into a race and tick it off, that's up to you. But I'd love to do a championship and take part in like 8 races in that time. But we'll just have to see.
Oh, mate, that'd be mega. Oh, look, mate, let me know when you're racing. I'll definitely come and cheer you on. Don't lift him. I'll have a banner in the grandstands. It's flat. What are you lifting for? It's flat, bro. What tracks have you been to? This first is one question.
Yeah. So Bedford, I've done. Bedford, I like, but I got black flagged in the M140 because that was running a high flow downpipe, which was yeah, it was quite loud.
Oh dear.
Res delete. So yeah, it was black flag for that. After that, I had to close the valve physically, so take the fuse out while it was closed.
Oh man.
Did Brands Hatch, and what's the other track? I don't think it's Thruxton, so I don't really think people class it as a track. I think it's just go really fast and just stay out everyone's way. But
mate, Thruxton's a racetrack, definitely.
Thruxton was just speed, mate. I was bricking it the whole. That video didn't even go on YouTube because it was
really
so fast, mate. That literally I was like, nah, I'm out of my depth here, because that was
really.
And the M140 was tuned, so I think 470 brake, so it wasn't like it was fast enough. But the chassis on that car just didn't give me confidence. And I was just like, nah, let's get off. I'll just watch. So I just did loads of passes, which sometimes is just as good.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed the day that way. But yeah, Thruxton, I think I'll be going back there once I've got a few more laps under my belt off other tracks.
Yeah, because over the back of Thruxton's really fast, isn't it? Yeah, it's a real, like, yeah, I've never been around there. I'd love to get around there. Yeah. I know Tiff. Speaking of Tiff, who had a random cameo. I don't know if you saw it. He randomly... I got about half an hour into last week we got about 5 minutes in, and Paul from Love Cars requested to come into the live thing. I was like, no, Paul, because he was on the week before and he was on for like an hour and a half. He's hilarious. He needs to do his own ones. He's brilliant. So I was trying to chat to Nick, and then like 5 minutes, like he comes in. I was like, no, Paul, you're not coming. Half hour later, he requests to come in again. Yeah. So I was saying to Nick, and Nick works with Paul from Love Cars. So I was like, go on, in you come, Paul. And then he's down the pub with Tiff Liddell. Because they've been doing a film shoot. So he's like, and so Tiff's trying to tell Nick to go and cut his hair because the barbers are open. So Nick's got this like big old beard and big old hair. And then he ended up swearing. So, and then he quickly apologised, and then Paul just took the phone off him and hung up, and left me and Nick just laughing our heads off. It was hysterical. Anyway, back to Tiff. Tiff does he works up at Thruxton. I don't think it's far from him, and he ends up doing. I think he does the passenger rides around Thruxton. I think pretty much just fully sideways the entire time. Which around the back part of Thruxton, you've got to be going some serious speed to be going sideways and have some massive kahunas to be. I mean, I'd love to do it one day. I'm sure people have done a passenger ride with Tiff. Yeah. There's probably YouTube videos of people doing a ride with Tiff, but
I think he sits up there for me on par with Chris Harris. If I think if I think of drifting and proper, like him and Chris Harris are up there. So I think Chris Harris, if people need an advert or anything, we need this car, we need it to go sideways 46 degrees, they're like Chris Harris. It's crazy. But I think, like, how do you learn this? I think obviously I've just got this obviously just here, but how do you learn how to do that? Because obviously public roads you can do a little sideways, but it's nothing compared to what like safely you can do on a track. How do you learn that?
Well, the skid pan video there, I've worked on the skid pan at Goodwood for about 10, 15, like on and off, not constantly, like 10, 15 years. Sure. And I basically started up there. I started working up there for an events company called Mythil Racing, who we used to do kind of Ferrari experiences, kind of like a red letter day thing. But we also did like corporate stuff. So we had go-karts, skid pan, all this sort of stuff. And basically just from working up there, one day we'd be waiting for an event to start. I was on the go-karts, which is right next to the skid pan. And someone would say we had like really old, kind of like 20-year-old, like 5 Series BMWs back then.
Yeah.
And someone just said to me one day, "Oh, have you been on the skid pan before?" I'm like, "No." They went, "Oh, the keys are in it. Go and have a play." I was like, "Brilliant." So go and have a play. Obviously not very good. Like mucked around for like 20 minutes. Month later, same again. Yeah, go and have a play. Brilliant. Month later, had another go. Started to get my bearings. Then one day somebody jumped in with me, went, "Oh, you'll get on a bit better. You're pretty good just from what, teaching yourself, but actually, you'll get on better if you do X, Y, Z. Oh, yeah, that's brilliant." And then one day they were short-staffed. Whoever was supposed to be doing the skid pan, it didn't turn up, and I was on the go-karts. And they went, "Oh, you're quite handy on the skid pan now. Do you want to teach on the skid pan for this event?" So I was like, yeah. Well, as a teacher, you'll know, just because you can do something doesn't mean to say you can teach it. So I went off and did the demonstration. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go on. Sorry, when you talk, you cut out. Yeah, go on. It's basically so I went off and did the demonstration, and then when they jumped in the passenger seat, I realised I hadn't actually told them. I kind of showed them without talking through what I was doing. So then I kind of had it all to do from scratch. Well, that was my first guy. Then by the time I got up to my third guy, I realised actually when you do the demo, you really got to simplify it down. There's so much you can talk too much to make it complicated. Really got to simplify it down. And then that was like 15 years ago. So now we do it in posh brand new BMWs. That was my buddy Reg's car.
Yeah, no, Reg.
That he let me use, and which is brilliant. I had the idea ages ago during lockdown, and said to Goodwood, "Can I come use a skid pan?" And they said, "Yeah." Do you know what I mean? Bring a car up. I had to jump for a few hoops and sign a few things and risk assessments and some bits and bobs, and absolutely loved it. But it's really, really good.
But I think this is the thing I've said to a lot of people. I think I was at Bedford with him in the M140, the last track day before I died, and he said he paid for tuition, and he said that's the best money spent on a track day. But then I had so obviously the wife, when we I think this was last year December, she booked Brand Hatchery without me knowing. But then I didn't plan to sell the. I got a great offer and it said I had to go, so I still took the M2 on there. But I said, you know what? Let's get tuition. I kid you not, it was the worst time of my life. So, mate, I was trying to turn this wheel coming down paddock, and I felt the strongest sharp turn that I thought it was the DSC module just locking up the brakes. The guy shoved the steering wheel without even talking to me. So it's the whole way round, he's holding the wheel, and I'm just like, mate, so like we're fighting halfway through, we're like fighting with the wheel. So I'm like, and there was just like he was talking, but as he wasn't trying to feed it in, he was actually just shoving it. So then I finished like, wow, like, is this what tuition is all about? And he was like, oh, mate, he said, yeah, I can tell you know the lines, but yeah, we've got to be. And I think he was more concerned with me not hitting anyone, which is great. But it was a thing where I kind of understand how to drive lines. It's not my first rodeo sort of thing. So then the following time, and I don't know if I can name drop here, but I had someone called Sean Doyle. So he's actually just worked with Joe Achilles recently.
Yeah.
He then I paid for tuition again. I was like, no, there's no way, like, this is how it's meant to be. So I paid for tuition, and I had Sean. And Sean, I kid you not, was amazing. Confidence inspired lap after lap to a point where I was braking later than I even thought I could. And that's when I realised, okay, so this is what Reg was talking about in terms of tuition being the best money spent. Because then after he said, mate, now you can go out by yourself, like, the wife came with me in passion. She said, like, she was scared. The first time around, she was casual. I was like, I expected her to be a bit scared. She was like, oh, yeah, this is cool. Breaking normal, gradual. And then when the second time, she was like, no, I feel it, babe. 2 laps is enough for me. And I was paying in it, braking really late. The brakes they got proper good heat into them. And that was just down to tuition. So I think it really is important to have a good teacher, because it's the confidence that you get from it that kind of helps you more than anything.
Yeah, 100%. That's so funny. Your missus, she was like, I think you've learnt too much. I'm going to jump out.
That's it. I really, because obviously, as you know, interaction's the best. Like, anywhere you go, interaction's really good. So I was like, you know what, you can come to this track day, you know, let's. So obviously, she came with me down, paid for an extra passenger. And yeah, I was like really surprised at how well she done. I was like, okay, cool. But then after I had that tuition, that's when I got home. I was like, see, I told you I can drive. Because if I would have gone home on the phone to a friend, like, oh, yeah, no, it was casual. It was fine.
Oh, man. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's such a shame. You had a bad experience with an instructor.
Really bad.
Because I mean, if you remember his name, I'll DM you after this, because it might be somebody that I know.
Yeah, go on.
I had a mate who'd done a similar thing. He'd done a track day at Goodwood, and he had an instructor jump in with him, and he'd done quite a few track days at Goodwood. So he said, I'll sit and watch you as you go round, and after lap 1, I'll start coaching you, start giving you some tips.
Sure.
So my mate drove round. He said, I thought it was a pretty tidy lap. He literally came through the chicane, crossed the line, and mate, he went, well, that was all wrong. And you know, you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I think this is it. Like, I appreciate, like, what Sean done. So Sean just said, do your lap sort of thing, and then we'll approach it, which is, as a teacher, this is how I prefer it. Like, let them make mistakes and then help them correct it, as opposed to, you're not going to make a single mistake. This is going to be the way. Because then when he got out of the car, I got out of the car trying to remember what he done, as opposed to trying to remember what I did. So I think it was more a case of, like, tuition. Anyone doing a track day, first day on any track, I'd say, if it's your first time at least, even if it's not, just to brush it up, I think it's very important. I think it's like 20, 30 quid. Yeah. In terms of the day, you're going to probably do triple that in petrol, so it's not like that's not well spent. So yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, 100%. I think they did it on fifth gear ages ago. I think they had somebody like a presenter who'd done a bit of driving, and they went, right, we're going to see what's the best bang for buck. And I think she basically went out first of all and done a set a lap, and then they put some stickier tyres on, and then they did like a remap, and then they did something else. And the last thing they did was put a Plato with her, and he gave her a bunch of tuition, and her, like, all the other mods were like couple of seconds a lap, and having an instructor was like 8 seconds a lap. It was like a big jump. Yeah,
it's night and day, and it's really surprising, like, because everybody out there, like, unless you're humble and down to earth, like, everyone thinks they're the best driver. Everyone thinks, yeah, I'm good, like, but when you come away, like, from a track day, you've got to come down a peg and two and just be like, you know what, there's always someone better. And with that mentality, I think anyway, you can go a lot further, as opposed to, I'm the fastest, yeah, watch, I'll do this. Oh no, the reason why he overtook me, the reason why he's faster, he's got less weight, or he's 3 kg. Like, you start making all these excuses when it just boils down to somebody might be better than you at something. And I think it's, as working in a school anyway, it's a thing where you've got to just accept that. Sure, he might be better than you at football, but you might be better than him at basketball. And it's the same as, for me, I see it on track or driving, for example. Like, somebody might be better at drifting, but I might have better clutch control. At the end of the day, you've just got to go with it, sort of thing, and not
100%.
Everything, which I think a lot of people nowadays are, which is great if it's friendly. But as we both know, in social media, sometimes it does get a bit rough unnecessarily.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, speaking of your own confidence in your driving, if you want your driving skill to be knocked down a few pegs, do what I do: go and get a job at a racetrack and go and work with a bunch of racing drivers.
Yeah.
Because the first time you go out with any of them, you're just like, man, I'm so rubbish.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a mate called Sam. I don't want to really go inside him just in case, but he's on YouTube as Sam Elio, M140. Mate, so I went to Snet in my 140, but I've been watching his videos for a time because he goes all the time in his 140. And I went out at Snet, and it was map 470, so I was overtaking everything and I was enjoying it. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I've really spanked this M140. I've really spanked this car. And then I went out. He said, mate, come for a passenger. This was like 2.5 years ago. Passenger ride with him. Mate, I kid you not. The hand grab was loose. Get an Allen, screw it back in. I was like, what? That's how you drive. And I think it was yours I watched with Straight Six when was it Reese? I think Reese took you out.
Oh.
And he took out Gav. And I was like, when you go out and have somebody else that knows a track or has got their car set up slightly better, that kind of makes you think, wow, there's more to come. And it's a good feeling as opposed to going out there thinking, yeah, like, that's it. But then when I went out in him, I was like, okay, you know what? There's more to come, sort of thing, as opposed to, oh, yeah, it's this, it's that. So it is, I think it just boils down to being humble. And it's like, you're never told to learn. Like, just get it out of your head that everything's a competition, and then that's it. It then becomes fun. Other than that, it gets too, it doesn't feel like fun. It feels like work as opposed to fun.
Yeah. And exactly like you say, every day's a school day. There's always something to learn somewhere, exactly. even if it's what not to do.
Yeah.
That's so funny you say. But was it you that was on one of these Spudcasts, and you said the reason I bought my M2 was because of Supergav's reaction? Was that you? Was that somebody else, or was that you and you were joking? I don't know.
I think the reason what I can't remember. I don't know what it was, but I did mention Supergav. I think that's the reason why I wanted to do more to my M2. Because I literally thought the M2 out of the box, and then obviously I know Reese before, so I was like, okay, I knew what he did. But then seeing like your video, how late he broke, like how you were talking and everything, and the fact that he was doing lap after lap, that made me think like the M140 to M2 was great choice. Obviously, it's not as powerful with it being the M55, but it was more about the chassis. And I think like I've obviously a keen follower of Joe's stuff, and I knew he had the N55 as well after the 135i. So it was a thing where I was like, it does make sense in terms of going for something which is just pure handling as opposed to just going power, because you can have the fastest car on the road if you want to go in a straight line, but what really matters is how much fun you can have. And then after a while, going in a straight line doesn't really feel fun after a while, as we both know. So, yeah.
Well, literally, just what you were saying earlier, you got your 140 up to close to 500 horsepower, and then at Thruxton, the engine was too much for the chassis.
Yeah, mate, it was, and I think, and this is why I've got quite a few mates. I've still got quite a few mates in the M140 due to M lights and whatnot. And it's like, no matter what anyone says, sure, the B58's a great engine. The chassis on the 140, compared to the M2, out of the box anyway, is just it's just a 120i, and that's not me trying to offend anyone, but bearing in mind I did do quite a fair few amount of mods. I didn't do dampers. But it was something that I just felt like it's an endless money pit. But the M2, for me, is something that you could go on track and just go for it, you know what I mean, and not have any issues at all. So that's what it is.
It's right out of the box. How did you? I've been in my buddy Ash's 140. He tweaked that a bit, and then I've been in a few mates' M2s. Yeah, I've watched that. The M2 just feels. It just feels super planted. It just seems to be wherever you point it just goes. It's like it's not breaking a sweat. It's
something weird about it. I remember when I picked it up straight away from where I got it from, Exclusive up north. And when I got it out of their driveway, I thought it was broken. I wanted to take it back. So the steering felt so heavy, because obviously I've had the M140 and I was like, okay, this is how it is. But the steering felt so heavy. And when I turned, everything felt very stiff. So I'm thinking this car's been sat around for 5 months. Maybe there's rust on the steering rack, maybe the suspension. And then when I spoke to a fella, he was like, no, that's M car handling. That's what you're paying for. So that's when it was like, wow. And that's when I realised that what you pay for isn't just an engine, isn't just a badge, it's the experience. And literally going on the same roads that I've done in the 140 at 470 and the M2 as stock at 370, the M2 feels way faster. I can brake later, I can take the bends faster. So it is night and day. And that's not me knocking the 140, because I had some great times in that car. But if I'm looking for a car that I would keep out of the 140 and the M2, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout. Yeah, Ash's 140 is brilliant. I've said this in, I think, 2 videos I've been with him in the car. Like, arguably, I enjoy going out with him in his 140 because it's a bit worse. And I don't know if that makes sense. But I do a lot of track days in my little rubbish Honda Civic, which has got 160 horsepower, and it's a bit of a slow, rusty old dog. But arguably, I have more fun in it because I can literally just keep the throttle pins the whole time. And especially when you're catching up with, like, if it's pouring with rain, especially around Goodwood, I know it fairly well. And you're catching up with some guy in a Porsche or something like that. You know it's not. You know it's not the car that's doing that, and you come in, you feel good that you've caught up a guy in a Porsche, right, even though it's pouring with rain.
This is it.
But and it's the same with the 140. It's not, because arguably it's more, not more. You're not going faster, but it's more fun because you've got to wrestle it a bit more. And if you are keeping up with guys in M2s, you know it's the driver, not the car, that's doing it.
This is it. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I've said to people. I think going for power is great. It's content people want to know, because obviously people don't want to do it to their own car, so it's good to watch. But like you said, on track, having a car that you can drive close to 8 temps compared to a car you'd have to drive at 6 temps is a big difference. Like, I took the M2 out at Brands Hatch on that day afterwards, and I didn't drive it at 8 temps. I'm nowhere near 8 temps yet. But I drove it way harder than I would with the 140. And that's simply down to, it's not as fast. There's way less power, 100 brake horsepower less. But it's the fact that
more confidence.
Oh yeah, I could use it all. Like the 140 was skidding in first, second, third, and it wasn't usable power, I would say. And I've always said that I want to map my car. I want to get it. I think the sweet spot for me is around the 400 mark. But it was definitely something that I felt. You know what? I was mapping the car more for YouTube as opposed to my experience. And that's what I said when we did Bedford. I was like, I think the car's too fast. Like, obviously, if it was an M2, if it was an M3, if it was a track car, even if it was something like, if it was the Civic, it would be a lot more track focused. So it's stripped out, whatever it is, and it's not got tons of rear seats, really heavy car, then it would be more practical. But I think with a car that weighs already 1,500, and you're putting 500 brake horsepower without having done any real like track mods, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
PS4s as well. It wasn't on PS4s or even Super Sports. It wasn't on anything track focused. Yeah, I just think you're asking for trouble. So
what did you say? It was on PS4s?
So it was on PS4, because on the 8 don't get the PS4s, do you? So it was on PS4s.
Okay.
Yeah, it was okay. But after about 3 laps, once it hit 55 degrees on the TPMS sensors thing, it was gone. It was sliding. And that's when I got the black flag, because I wasn't even drifting, but they thought I was drifting. The rear end was just going out
around,
washing out every time. That's what it was.
Oh man. How Ash never got a black flag when we were at Bedford last year. We got some mega sideways moments, but I don't know if the marshals are
cars.
Say again?
Is that Ash T Cars?
Yeah.
Video. I watched that video.
The one at Bedford.
Yes, yeah, I watched that video.
That was a really good day. That's probably my first half decent kind of edited kind of video that I did. Yeah. I think I bought a second camera for the day,
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to start doing, so I watched like other guys doing in-car stuff. And if you put a camera behind your head, you're getting the car and up the track, but you're not getting your faces. And then if you just have it obviously facing your face, you're not getting in. So I thought I've got to go for 2 cameras. But obviously then editing is then a pain in the backside because you've got to marry up the footage and all that sort of stuff. Now it's like, say again?
I tend to do a clap now, so I think that's what really works, because then when you're editing, you can see the spike up. So I remember what car review I was doing, but I started the cameras and I didn't tell the person next to me, and I just clapped 3 times really loudly. And he looked at me, he was like, what is this, like, chant? Are you going to chant? Are you going to start thinking or something? I was like, what's this?
That's so funny. Yeah. Put it back to a rain dance or something.
That's it, yeah.
Oh, that's funny, man. I need to watch that Bedford video back, actually. A couple of my videos, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. I think it might have been Joe, actually. And I was saying, Joe Achilles, you might have heard of him. He does some YouTube type stuff. He's all right. He's like 6'2" or something. 6'1". I don't know. He's all right. He's up and coming. He'll make it one day. He really likes Teslas, I think. He needs to get into some like BMW stuff. I think he'd do really well.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't even remember what I was talking about now. What was I saying? I can't even remember. It doesn't even matter. It was probably just some nonsense. What was I going to say? Track days we've done. What track's your favourite?
So, my favourite so far, people are going to laugh, but I think Snet's a great circuit. But I think having done a lot of stuff on the sim, I really want to go Donington. I really want to go to Donington. Donington or Coldwood Park, I think, would be one or the other. But I've yet to go, but I've done it on the sim, because I do quite a bit of sim racing. Not that I'm a sim racer, but it looks really. Apparently, it's like the English version of the Nürburgring, because it's more.
Oh, okay.
It's more involving. So that's probably what I'm looking to do. What's your favourite?
I quite like Goodwood, but I've almost done, because it's literally 5 minutes from my house, Goodwood. So I've done Goodwood quite a lot.
Yeah.
And not that it's boring, but it's like I know it reasonably well. I mean, my racing driver mates who would come out with me would argue that I don't know it properly because of the lines that I do around there. But one of my favourite tracks in the UK is Alton Park.
Okay. Yeah.
Which surprised me. We always. Cadwell Park is one of the ones you mentioned. That's a very good track.
Yeah.
Donington Park I haven't done. Cadwell Park was always one of those ones for about 5 years. Me and my track day mates always talked about going to Cadwell Park. And we never went to Cadwell Park because it was too far away. Yeah, we'd always go to the Nürburgring and Spa instead, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So for one reason or another, we never managed to book Spa. 1 year, so we were like, do you know what, let's go and do Cadwell Park. And it was about 150 quid or something, obviously go out there the night before, stay in a hotel, because it's about 4 or 5 hours from here. And it was mega. It was really good. It was all kind of up and down and through the woods. Really enjoyed it. The thing that worried me most was it was quite narrow, and having never been there before and having not a lot of power, I thought I was going to be holding everybody up. But actually, once you've done the first session, you realise where you can let people by quite easily. Yeah, it was quite a narrow track. The where they did the briefing was in like the restaurant-y bit right next to the track. Okay. And the guy was doing the briefing. He said, hands up if you haven't been to Cadwell Park before. Me and my mates put our hands up. And they said, welcome. It's quite a narrow track. If you have a look out the window, that's not an access road. That's the circuit. And we were like, it's like 2 cars wide. We were like, what? But it was brilliant. It was brilliant, man.
This is the problem. A lot of people, I've said to them, even my mate, I can just see, replied to Carl, who's like a brother to me, Define Coding. A lot of people are sceptical on going on track, not because they're scared, but more they just feel like they're going to get crashed into. It's like when you go on a track day, you'd be surprised how easy to stay out of someone's way. It's really easy if you're vigilant. Your mirrors, it's really easy. I think
check your mirrors, man. Check your mirrors, indicate, and move over. It's not rocket science.
That's it. I think that was for me after doing SNET. I was like, okay, it's not as scary as people would have thought. Like, 100 miles? Oh, I might be in my car. No. If you want to go around at 80 mile an hour, go around at 80 mile an hour sort of thing.
But also build yourself up. Don't go out there flat out straight away. Build yourself up.
Exactly right. I think, don't go out there in a 470 brake. Probably go out there in about 350. Keep it stock, sort of thing, and then go from there. But I think it does boil down to, like you said, just building up that confidence. The same way you got to get that heat in the tyres, the same way you got to build up the confidence in yourself. I think anyway.
Yeah. Go and do your sighting laps. Get your eye in. I went to Silverstone about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Never been to Silverstone before, so I watched a load of onboard video of people going around the track just to try and get my bearings a little bit.
Memory,
which really helped. And again, first session, just slowly build up. But also, when people say build up, some people go, don't go 40%, 50%, 90%. Do you know what I mean? Progressively build yourself up.
That's it. Yeah, I love that video I watched. I think that was Supergav's CS, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, and I was like, wow, like obviously it's a CS, first of all, so hat off to you. I wouldn't take my CS, let alone have the confidence, but I see Gav's a top man. It was a thing like I could see it, and every lap I was like, wow, you were going to it to a point where the traction control was like, hey, mate, like, we don't know you. You're not our owner. You're not on the V5. Slow down.
Yeah, you can't handle this. There's no VTEC action going on around here, man. You need to calm down.
But that's what I think. I definitely agree. I think building it up is 100% the biggest thing. And that comes from any. Like, don't go trying to dunk before learning how to shoot a free throw sort of thing. So, I agree. Definitely agree, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, that Silverstone day was mega, man. And like you say in the video, you can see like the first session, I was a bit like, gone in too fast there, and I mean, there's like a kink before the straight, and I was like, I'd braked, and then once I was like, I should be flat on the gas here, and it was all like, but once you get your head around it, and and away you go, and then the last session. I think me and Ash had a little battle, and that was just mega. That was so good. We came in, you see, I left it in the video. Me and Ash came in absolutely buzzing, and just a great day. And just so blessed to have a mate like Super Gav who just goes, "Yeah, John, bring my M3 up." He said, "I'm going to take the Ferrari. You bring the M3 up, and then take it on the track."
You'd never think that, like. Said that, I was like, wow, like that is legendary status. Like he's up there with you. Like I'm like, how? You just gonna say to someone, like, not even take out my JCW or take out this, like, like CS M3 CS, and spank it sort of thing.
And he's not up there with me. I'd like to be up there with him. Let's just get that straight. You've got
to let your Civic, then I can say you're legendary. That's how it works. Just got to let for our cars.
Mate, he can have a go at the Civic anytime. After driving around in his Ferrari, mate, he's going to be sorely disappointed. He's going to be like, I think there's something wrong with it. I've got my foot flat on the floor and it only seems to be doing like 70, 80 mile an hour. I was like, no, that's it, Gav. That's it. That's it. It's literally a quarter of the power of his M3.
But it's fun, right? It's fun.
Oh, mate, it was so usable. And the best thing about it was you literally cruise up. So we cruise up the M40, comfort mode. I've got the tunes on. It's all nice and quiet, no dramas. People still looking at you on the motorway because it's got that flat blue paint and it's a bit lower and it's got spacers on it. It just looks sick. Then they come off the motorway, put it in sport mode, opens the exhaust up, it's doing the pops and the bangs and it pulls like a train and it's just hilarious. And then take it on the track, just having a laugh of it on the track. Obviously, it was moving around a bit. I think I might go MDM mode when we go to Bedford. I'll do the first session with everything on. I've had a couple of mates. My mate Sideways Sid, I don't know if you know Sid North, he messaged me and went, "Oh, what's your video? Why don't you just turn everything off?" I'm like, because I'm not disrespectful like you, Sid. It's somebody else's car.
Yeah, I know Sid was. Sid was at Dub Customs about 2 months ago when they were moving, and he just come down to help out and stuff like that. And he was looking at me, and I was looking at him, and I was like, "Bro, please don't ask me to go out in the M2. Please don't ask me to go out in the M2." But no, I love Sid. Sid's quality, and I think Sid's got so much potential. And now he's come across as he does do bits with love cars, as we know. He can go so far. He can go so far. But he knows what he's talking about. He knows his cars. And at the end of the day, he's in it for the right reason because he loves cars. And I think that is the biggest part for me, just going off topic, really. A lot of people speak about YouTube and stuff, and it's very easy to see it as cars, get paid, I want to do it, as opposed to I love cars, I love cars, I love cars. And if the video gets 100 views, don't matter, I love cars, I had a great time. If the video gets 1 million views, either way. But I think even myself included, there are times when it's a bit demotivating, as you would know, like you'd put time and effort into a video and you'd think, yeah, it's going to be an absolute banger. And then it's just like, what's going on? Or maybe I've got to press refresh and you refreshing again, refreshing again. What's going on? I'm like, oh, what's going on?
The view count hasn't gone up at all in the last 12 hours. I think YouTube's broken.
YouTube's broken right into head office. Hi, my name is Tim. But yeah, I think it's very important to understand, like, cars should be fun. And I think you've got to think anything you do, like growing up playing football, like on the streets, you didn't play football with your mates because you wanted to get paid. You just played because you enjoyed it. So it's the same as cars, car content. Like, just take numbers and money out of the equation, and I think it's a lot better because it is hard, myself included. It's hard not to look at the numbers. But I think what really matters is those experiences and those times. They stay with you longer than anything else would, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, and yeah, you've hit a nail on the head. That's what I was saying about. That's how we got talking about Joe. I was saying to Joe, because he was saying, he gave me some advice for my YouTube channel, and I said, I'll be honest, I don't really know what I want out of it yet. I just enjoy making videos. And part of it is so that I can watch, but I've always made videos, but never with me in them particularly. Do you know what I mean? For like 10 years, I've made like little videos, and I've always gone to events and filmed little bits and pieces, and put a camera in the car when I do a track day. And then I just suddenly thought one day, well, all I've got to do is an intro and an outro to camera. Suddenly it's a vlog.
That's it.
Let's just start doing that, which is kind of how it started. And I said to Joe, I don't really know what I want out of my YouTube channel. I don't really know where it's going to go or what I want out of it. But it has opened a few doors for me already. I've made a couple of videos with my mate in his McLaren, which has been really cool. I've got a few things in the pipeline that I've been invited to come and do because of it's almost like my YouTube's like a video CV, I guess, like my driving, whether that's a good or bad thing, to put on the internet, I don't know. But also like what I can do with editing, but also like just me, like having a conversation with you like this now. That wouldn't have come about if I didn't have a YouTube channel. So 100%. I think it's opened doors and this kind of a bit of networking, and yeah, I'm just kind of excited to see where it goes. Like you say, just enjoy making videos and just see where it goes. I
think, like you said, it's about making sure your head's in the right place. If you just see it as it needs to make me money, then you're just going to lose focus on it. And I think anyone would tell you, like, you don't probably turn it into a full-time job until you hit 100K, because it's not. It depends on where you are in life. Obviously, mortgage, like stuff like that. That's not going to be paid by YouTube until you'll be lucky to pay that via YouTube. So it's a thing. You've just got to see it as, I enjoy cars and that's it. But like, if you're back on topic, you're talking about Bedford, that would be the best track to take traction off fully, or MDM, that halfway house, because there's loads of runoff. And if you do go too far sideways, like MDM would correct you in time. So I think Bedford, we want to see a bit of we want to see that traction like flash just a tiny bit, please, if possible.
Well, I'll put it by Gav. See what he says. Also, I want to get Gav because at Silverstone we weren't allowed passengers in the car, and at Bedford we are allowed passengers in the car. And I've already said to Gav, I want to take you out in your car because he is hilarious on camera anyway. So to get him out in his own car, I think it's just going to be brilliant. So yeah, I'll take on my camera stuff, try and make another good video if I can. Just absolutely buzzing for the day. So so when was the last track day that you filmed? You said earlier about not trying not to film track days. Or...
Let me just turn the oven off. I think I've just burned the lasagna.
If you've just joined us, Tim Williams has gone off to check on his burnt lasagna. Yeah, that lasagna is cooked to... What? The burnt satisfaction. It's game over. It's all right. I blame you, Rick.
Oh. M2 and get some McDonald's. That's fine. Yeah.
Jonathan's laughing his head off. Mr. Ctrl Shift.
Yeah, no, Jonathan.
He's burned his lasagna.
Yeah, he supported me with the T-shirts and the merchandise. So big shout out to Jonathan. Yeah, where were we? So the M2. So yeah, for me, I wanna still bring people along, because like yourself, I think what was great is Silverstone. I couldn't get there because obviously it was I was at work. I worked Monday to Friday. So with content like yours, like mine, vlog style, it makes you feel like you're there. So with the track days, obviously not everyone's going to be able to come down or get in a car with me. So with the video side of it, I like it because people might feel like they're there with me, so they experience it. So I definitely will continue to film, but what I'm going to try and do now is probably do more in the afternoon, because obviously it's normally, for me anyway, the afternoon when my confidence is at probably close to its peak. So get a good lap intro in the morning, film an afternoon lap, because by then I'm proper confident, and then switch it off, then finish off the day, last 3 hours going for it. I think that's the best way going forward.
Yeah, it's a good shout. And like you say, like the two things for me is, one, like you say, try and capture the day. So I always try and, for myself more than anything, because when I watch it back, I want to have captured the atmosphere and the kind of energy and the banter of the day.
100%.
But you also don't want to be walking around pointing a camera at everything all day, because A, your battery's going to die. B, you're going to have so much footage to look through. The editing is going to be an absolute nightmare. But also, you're just going to annoy everyone. You're just going to shove a camera in their face. I think you've got to be kind of careful / clever when you get your camera out. If you can see something happening, do you know what I mean, try and film it. Or like, my camera's only small, so I try and kind of not hide it, but I just try and, it's not like I haven't got like a big, mainly because I haven't got any money. I'm not walking around with a SLR with a massive like road mic on the top and like all the proper pro boys. I've literally just got like a little compact camera, and just try and capture the day.
That's it. And I think, as we both know, like with YouTube, there's a lot of data that we can look at. And what I can say is that you would think you put out a 20-minute video, people are going to watch it for 20 minutes. That's never the case. There's times when you'd put out a 20-minute video and people you'd watch and you'd be like, wait, they only watched 5 minutes. So then you'd think, okay, let me make a 5-minute video. You make a 5-minute video. They still didn't watch 5 minutes of it. So it's a thing where you've got to be so careful, because then on top of that, then you go to a track day, and then you get your mate on camera and you're talking to him, like, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be on the channel. And then you get him and you're editing, and the important stuff you try and put on there, then you're like, oh, but my mate's used this time. I've got him on camera. I've got to fit him in. You fit him in. And it's 18 minutes. I'm like, oh, no. So it is a thing. You've got to be so precise, because if you end up making promises to people, like, oh, yeah, here comes my cameo. You've got the whole family sit on the sofa. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, here's my time. And you're like, oh, yeah, so here's my mate, Jack. See you later, Jack. It's like, well, I spent 8 minutes talking to him. Where's that part? So yeah, we've got to be so like careful, I think, when editing, when to know what the sweet spot is. I think for me, looking at 7 to 12 minutes tends to be the sweet spot. I've looked at it according to data as well. That tends to be the sweet. Anything more, you're just asking people to skip. So that's the issue.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hi, Brett. Brett's saying evening, guys. That's my thing, is to just try and keep it punchy. You don't want to. I mean, nobody wants to tune in and listen to. I mean, well, people are tuning in and listening to us talking for the best part of an hour. So, mate, it's an hour already. Flipping Ada, man. Where's that gone? You're burning lasagna. We've been talking for an hour. Yeah, for me, I try and keep it as punchy as possible, because I mean, I'm aware that you've got people like Joe and Petrol Ped and stuff who have got over 100,000 subscribers. People are tuning in to hear what they've got to say.
Sure.
I don't think people are tuning in to hear what I've got to say. So I try and make it about what it is that I'm doing, or, do you know what I mean? Try and make it fun, or like with my like skid pan one, it's like fun / educational. Do you know what I mean? No one wants to tune in to hear Rick the Spud do a 10-minute walk round of the new whatever it is. But, do you know what I mean? No. People are going, what's he jabbering on about? I don't know. It's not a John Deere, Rick. Switch the channel.
Yeah, I think that's key for me. I've noticed, like, obviously, like, we're both in similar positions where we're learning what our audience likes, and then it's about, obviously it is your channel, but at the same time, the viewers, you still got to give what the viewers want. And I think sometimes it's so easy to go off track, as you know, because then it's easy. Like we've just gone an hour, and it didn't feel like an hour. So it's definitely a thing where when filming, I've noticed it's tricky, but it's got to be punchy. I think that's because you can do loads more and give way more information if it's punchy. Like I do a few videos where I'm like, mate, like 3 minutes. I spent 3 minutes talking about the width of the rear tyres. Like, really? I was like, they're just 2.5. Finish.
Yeah. But, I'll just put a cutaway in there and then chop about 3/4 of that out. There we go.
I end up doing a voiceover. I'm like, so 265 tyres on the rear, moving on. Chopped, done.
Yeah, and done.
So I think dragging on tends to be the worst. And like, we'd both be honest with each other. I think there's videos that I've watched. I'm like, dragging. I just want to come for what I've clicked for. I've clicked for this, but I want to see. That's why I like your video there. The build up to it, as soon as it's up, I was like, I know what I'm coming for, bang, and it was there.
Yeah.
Like, when I saw like the thumbnail and all of the piece, I was like, yes, love it. And I think that's what, and you can see there, within the 2 weeks, got 1,000 views, and it's like that's what people want to see. It's just punchy. It's what you've came for, sort of thing. And that's why I tend not to, and I can't say I have, and I don't think I ever have, but clickbait videos for me are not really good because it's negative press, and people then assume that your next video is clickbait, so they're not going to bother. But bang on, it's like what people have clicked is what they're going to get, and that's much better.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, like, clickbait is a bit of a grey one because people say clickbait, but also you've got to have something that is clickbait. For me, is something in the title or in the picture that's not in the video.
That's it.
That to me is clickbait.
100%.
Whereas other people think clickbait is, I mean, we say, like Joe's gone, he said to me before, all titles a bit clickbaity, but ultimately you have got to.
Oh, you got to sell it.
It can't be. Yeah, you got to sell it. It can't be some really boring title and a rubbish picture. You want people to click on it. So it can't. So clickbait, I would say, is.
There's a little grey area in it.
Yeah, I think clickbait is good. You want to hook people to your video. So I don't think clickbait in what it actually means is a bad thing. Whereas actually, kind of false advertising, or do you know what I mean, a title that isn't what it says, or the other one that gets me is they whatever it is right at the end of the video. So it's like a 25-minute video, and it says whatever it is, and they start off and they're talking about something else, something that happened with another car, or something that's happened last week. So today we might be going down to say, oh no, we're not doing that now. So I'm just like, oh come on, man, get to it, man. It's in the last 2 minutes of the video, and I'm like,
what really jars me with that is when it's the bigger YouTubers. So not to name names because we only talk positive, but it's when the bigger YouTubers are doing it, and you're like, come on, man, like you don't need the AdSense, you don't need the revenue. Like we're here, like we're watching. You ain't got to wait.
Yeah, we're already watching. Yeah.
Like, we love you, it's cool, but it's like, because I think I did one with the M2. I said the M2's history. Straight away, when I put the thumbnail on Instagram, I had loads of, like, the shocked face. I'm like, wow, already? I was like, no, it's the M2's previous history. Jacked the car up, looked underneath, found out the car came with a sports car. That was the video, but again, people might come across as that's clickbait, but no, it's not. It's a title relevant to the video. Could one person come across as... So I think we need to find another word for that clickbait, because I think clickbait's a bit unfair for people that aren't actually not doing what they've said they're going to do.
Exactly, yeah. Clickbait is like a kind of a negative thing where actually to bait people to click your video is actually kind of what YouTube's about, really, I guess. Mate, well, once again, I've gone through my notes. I haven't even got into I've got a big sheet. When I first started doing these, I thought, well, I'll have loads of questions to ask people. What we'll do is we get them on, have a bit of a chat for like 10, 15 minutes, and then get into the questions. What's actually happened is we've had a chat for over an hour, and I haven't even got into my like general questions. But it was better than I thought it was going to be, because I've never met you before. I thought we're going to get you on. Within 5 minutes, we're going to be talking about the weather and going. There's going to be these awkward silences. No, I'm lying, mate. I didn't think it was going to be like that at all. I knew it was going to be mega, and that's why I invited you on, mate. I'm going to let you go and eat your burnt lasagna. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. When I get a bit of free time, I'm going to turn this into a little YouTube video and then probably watch it back myself. looking forward to meeting you in the real world, because now we've sort of met like a video call.
Oh, we're cool now. Yeah.
And if I press the right buttons any minute, I'll save this in my Instagram TV. And mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Great chatting with you. Carry on making the good content, and I look forward to seeing you in real life.
Likewise, mate. Take care. Thanks again.
No worries, bruv. Catch up with you soon, man. Take care.